Hi everyone, today is August 31st, 2019, and this is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is GreenRanger, and we have a very big week in terms of news in the Duel world. A lot of announcements for the upcoming month that kind of clues us into the future of the game. We know what is coming up. Most of all, the biggest news is a new box coming out, Valhalla Calling, that's coming out later today. And we're going to go over all the URs and SRs today from that box. We have a new legendary duelist acquisition, Carmine, a Dark Signer Carmine to be exact. So her event is going on. She's got event drops and then also character level up rewards and her own duel skill. So we'll go over everything she has to offer. Ranked duel revamps are here as well. So we're going to go over that. And yeah, those are the main points. Doug Dimmadule is not available today. He has more important matters to deal with in real life, so no deck of the week this week. But this week will primarily be a card review episode. So mostly Carly's cards and also what Valhalla Calling has. So. In terms of my week in the Duel World, last month I hit King of Games as mentioned. Notably, this month is a long month. It started August 27th, the Ranked Duels season. And, that was just to go over Ranked Duels Revamp. I don't think they wanted to wait or something. I don't know what the deal was, but this is going to be a longer season with the Kaiba Cup and all. So, you have more opportunity to hit King of Games. And last week was the episode about 6 Sams, so I said I was going to put the deck away, but right now I do not have a deck to play, so I did not put the deck away, and I lied about putting it away, and I've only played a few ranked duels, less than 10. That was either because of time, or I'm just doing this Carly event, but I changed my deck. Obviously, they don't let you play the old deck, obviously, so I did the 1-to-1 split with Anishi and Dojo. Previously, I was hardlined on getting rid of Anishi completely, but now I'm seeing there might not be that many monsters to use. But I have a 1-1 split with Anishi and Dojo. I added another legendary secret because I think that helps offset the Dojo loss, so you could get the Fuma legendary secret combo. And then the wild card. What would I do with that last spot, which Anishi is not around for. So, Zanji was often a card that was floated, and this is just a spot, a roster slot, a deck slot that is in flux. And I put in Hatsume. Hatsume doesn't really fit, primarily because she is a level 3 monster. She's a water though, and the water attribute helps Rihan. That's kind of a stupid thing, but I liked her late game ability. She could bring back Shin if he's destroyed. So I thought that was a way to kind of use the monsters in the graveyard. Anishi would sacrifice 2 monsters in the graveyard. Hatsume, I think you destroy the monsters on the field or in the hand, so you just discard those. You could also discard her, so it was a way for me to do some late game thing with Shin. That's what I'm trying to do with her. I probably won't keep her just because she doesn't fit the synchro summoning at all. I think when you're using a level 3 6 Sam, you want the level 2 tuners. So, guys like Kagamusha is a level 2 tuner, so those cards fit better. I don't think she's going to stay, but I'm just going to keep going. I'm winning my duels. I'm in Plat 5, so I'm Plat 5, so I'm about to hit 6 and 7 soon, so we'll see how it goes for now, but right now the deck's fine. I'm still playing the Tie That Binds. Nothing too crazy right now in the meta. Let's talk about esports. We're only going to talk about one event this week in the interest of time. And of course, that's Duel Links Meta Weekly, and this is number 87. Kind of the last snapshot before the new box comes out. I expect this new Valhalla box to be really big, and this came out before Carly did, I believe. So, what this snapshot is is Ancient Gears becoming pretty big. Six Sams didn't even crack the top 32. That's what's notable. People are experimenting with the deck. We don't know what's going on with the deck. Blue Eyes only had one in the top 32, so that's another deck that's fallen. Ancient Gears took the top spot. Crystons are filling in. Triumphs are still doing pretty well. Desperado decks are still doing pretty well. Vengeance are still doing pretty well. First place, Victor Lee, Master of Destiny Desperado deck. Pure Desperado deck. There's no Time Wizard in the main deck. It's in the side deck, though. Fiend Comedian's in the deck. That's another card that people use often. And like I mentioned before, with Desperado decks, the pure Desperado decks, you could play around with your back row. That's what makes every deck different. 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 2 World Legacy Clash, 3 Paleozoic Canadia. Closed Forest is a card that they see in the side deck sometimes. It's to prevent field spells from being played, like for Vendred. So that's what the main counter is. When you're playing a tournament and you're facing Vendred, you play Closed Forest. Second place, Biscaya BL, Balanced Triumphs. This guy plays Triumphs a lot. He's pretty much the master of Triumphs. He places in the top 4 almost every week. And with Triumphs, you're playing Balance. You're playing the same monster core. You've got your 3 or 2 Masters, 3 or 2 Hunters, and your 2 Dancers. You got your same field spells, Cruiser, King Golem, and Fortress. And then the back row is always different. 2 Floodgate, 2 Mirror Wall, 3 Paleozoic Canadia, 2 Triumphant Pulse. Third place, Yan Storm, Balanced Triumphants again. This deck, same monster and spell core. It does run Bad Aim and Bad Aim, 3 Pulse, 2 Mirror Walls. And really, their sideboards are all different trap cards. So, this one has, Light, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. The previous one had Light Imprisoning Mirror, so you could do different things. More like situations. There are really good trap cards you put in, and then some situational ones to fill in for your deck you're playing against. Let's play around with all the good trap cards you have, and then you could build a good Triumphant deck. And finally, third place, Monkey Boy 44, Ancient Gears. Ancient Gears did very well, but they only placed third place highest. And the deck is starting to look a little different. I mean, cursory look, it looks the same. But a notable card that's gone is Double Cyclone. I guess, I don't know why. But there's more stall. There's 3 Floodgate, 3 Paleozoic Canadia. Double Cyclone's gone. 3 Gear Towns. That's a deck that usually ran 2. 3 Gear Towns and 2 Reactor Dragons. That's kind of interesting. I guess it's more for consistency reasons. I don't know. Anyways, that's Monkey Boy's deck. And that is Meta Weekly 87. So corresponding to that, Duel Links Meta updated their tier list. I expect, massive changes with the new box coming out. But Tier 1, Ancient Gears has moved up to Tier 1. I guess they do pretty well against Desperados. That's why they're up there. They negate that ability. They destroy that Dark Machine, and then the Barrel Dragon doesn't come out. Desperados are still Tier 1, though, so both these decks are considered Tier 1. Tier 2 is a little less crowded now. We've got Cyberdark, Spellbooks, Triumphants, and Vendreds. Spellbooks, I don't know if they warrant a spot here. They don't seem to be there every week, but it seems they're doing well enough to stay. Triumphants are still a very good deck. Vendreds are still very good. And Cyberdarks are, of course, part of that Desperado package on occasion. Tier 3, we have some fallers. We have Blue Eyes and 6 Sams joining this spot. Crystons, Magnet Warriors, and Subterrors. Crystons might move up to Tier 2 if they start showing up more. They're starting to get a foothold. So that is it for those things. And we're going to go over Ranked Duels Revamp. So last week, the question of the week was whether Konami would give us more gems. And they had this vague thing where they said every win up to win 50 will give you gems. And I decided to do some math. So the old ranked reward system gave 200 gems for the first 50 wins. So basically you got 50 at number 1, number 5, number 15, number 35. That's when you hit your Ranked Duels wins. You get another 100 on the way to 120. and I used 120 as a benchmark because that's when you get your third SR ticket. So you get 50 gems at 65 and 80. And then after that, after 120, you hit 140, 160. Every 40 wins, you get 20 gems or 30 gems. I forget what it was. So you get 300 gems to 120 wins. The new reward system. So first of all, in the first 100 wins, you get some rewards: 4 N tickets, 4 R tickets, 3 SR, 1 UR, 4 boosters, 10 dual orbs. So the difference here, you get an additional N and R ticket. I don't know about you, but I have too many N tickets. R tickets, there's occasionally a card I only have 2 of, so I welcome more R tickets. N tickets, though, I have too many. SR tickets and UR tickets are not changing, but the thing that's changing is the SR ticket. The third SR ticket is no longer at 120, so you don't have to win as many games to get your third SR ticket, so that's good. UR tickets the same. 4 boosters, those are new. I personally like the results booster. I like the EXP booster for our new character, like Carly right now, and we'll need them for the new world, so those are good. And 10 dual orbs. I have too many dual orbs. Okay, so gems. You get 200 gems for the first 50 wins. I just adding up every single 5. So you get 5 gems for every win. And sometimes they skip it with the tickets. So that adds up to 200, which is exactly the same as the former ranked reward system. So in the first 50 wins, it's the same. Now, from 52 to 94, wins 52 to 94, they still give you gems. You get 190. So the difference here is 90 gems. You get 90 more gems in the first 100 games. After game 100, they do the thing where they alternate between gems and gold. So I don't know how much that is. Again, I expect it to be every 40 games. So when you hit 120, you get gems maybe, or gold. 140, you get gems or gold. That number is the wild card. But right now, up front, in the first 100 games, 90 more gems. And that is almost 2 packs. So there you go. That's the new Ranked Duels revamp. We did get more gems, but marginal amount. I guess I was a little pessimistic, thinking that they would give us less or the same amount. If you're playing 50 games, it's the same amount, but it's a marginal increase in gems. So I guess I can't complain. You always want more gems, but an increase is an increase. And there's no inflation on packs. The packs aren't getting more expensive, I don't think. Gem-wise, they're the same. Money-wise, I don't know. But, of course, the value of the packs, that's another question. If the packs aren't netting you competitive decks, they're probably worth less. But who's to say this deck sucks right now? When this mechanic comes out, these cards could be good or whatever. But right now, marginal increase. Alright. Next item is Dark Signer Carly Carmine. So, this is one of those... I mean, she's a Dark Signer, so it's like Kaylin Kessler, same thing. It's the same type of event where you duel for a currency. So these are like the Dark Soul currencies, and you use those for the gate duels. So you spend 40 to face the level 40 to farm her for her rewards and things like that. And every 8 duels, you fight the Earthbound Immortal. So, the one that you fight here is Asla Pisu, and those are kind of the turbo duels, so you could kind of... Personally, I auto-duel those because, first of all, her deck kind of sucks, so it doesn't really matter, but they typically have a lot of life points, and they give you a huge bonus, so you could just play with any deck you want to win the duel. Doesn't really matter. And they have a new thing where they subtract their life points based on what your friends are doing. So every turbo duel is kind of weird. They have a weird The life points are not divisible by 5 or 0. That's what I want to say. So it's a weird number, but anyways, her acquisition was very easy. I got her in the first day. I just auto-dueling. I think I got her in the first day. So not many points to get her, but the rewards are all there. Let's see. So there are separate event drops, and yeah, let's go over her event drops first of all. So she plays Fortune Ladies. This is a whole new deck, archetype, I mean. And it's notable that the new box has Fortune Ladies. So this is kind of the first time this is happening, I think. Well, we've seen it with Red Eyes before, but in this short a time span, you get a character, and then her better cards are in the new box. So I don't know if that's a lore by Konami, but that's what's going on. Anyways, Fortune Lady Light, UR. Level 1 Spellcaster Light. The attack and defense are question marks. This card's attack and defense are equal to its level times 200. During each of your standby phases, increase the level of this card by 1. You can max it at 12. When this card is removed from the field by a card effect, you can special summon one Fortune Lady monster from your deck. So all of the Fortune Ladies have question marks as their attack and defense. And if you don't know what that means, question marks are multiplicative. So the best example of a question mark monster is Tyranno Infinity. Its attack is your number of banished monsters times 1,000. So they're always multiplicative. And Fortune Ladies play with levels, and they max out at 12. So this Fortune Lady Light, she can get up to 2400, 2400. But when you summon her on the field, she's a 200, 200. So that's what it is. And right now, this card does not look very impressive. But when you look at the overall package, she is a core card. The goal is to remove her from the field by card effect. And then you get another Fortune Lady on the field. And then you bring her back or something. That's the whole point. You want to banish her again and cheat out more stuff from the deck. So it's weak monsters are weak but good monsters are facilitators. They help shuffle things throughout the deck, and that's what she is. She's going to be a part of the deck, and yeah, Fortune Lady Light. Next card, an SR, Fortune Lady Earth, level 6. Question mark. This card's attack and defense are equal to its level times 400. During each of your standby phases, increase the level of this card by 1. When the level of this card increases, inflict 400 damage to your opponent. So, she is a 1 tribute monster for 2400 to start off. She has a burn ability, which every time you increase the level, you inflict 400. That's a 10th of your opponent's life points. You're going to have to do this 10 times to have a viable burn strategy. Maybe you have 2 of these on the board. Not really sure, but it doesn't seem like Fortune Lady Burn is a deck, but it could be possible. Asla Pisu is kind of a direct attacker. She has some burn abilities, so maybe. This card overall is not very impressive. Just being a 1 tribute 2400 with a little burn ability and doesn't affect the board is not that great. But fortunately, Earth probably will see play in the deck just because she's level 6. Level 6 aligns very well with the synchro summons that we'll talk about later. And also being a Fortune Lady, you could cheat out. You could get rid of the light and get Earth. That's a free 2400 on the board. It's not the worst thing in the world. Red Eyes used to do that all the time. And yeah, you definitely don't want to tribute summon for this card, but there may be chances that you do it, but you do want to cheat this out. Not the best card, but included just because of high level and being Fortune Lady. Next card is Fortune Lady Wind, level 3. Its attack and defense are equal to its level times 300. You can increase its level by 1 during each standby phase. When this card is normal summoned, you can destroy a number of spells and traps your opponent controls equal to the number of Fortune Ladies, face-up Fortune Ladies you control. So this is the main back row control of the deck. Has to be normal summon, not special summon. That's important. And if they swarm very well, you could just clear their board. Again, this seems like a core card in the deck just because you don't have to play backward control. This seems like an archetype that you want to run a lot of monsters in. And if you could not run Cosmic Cyclone, that's a bonus. So this card saves deck slots for Fortune Ladies. Repeated cards: Altered the Bound Deity, Earthbound Wave, those are repeats. New card: Rare, Time Passage, Quick Play Spell. Increase the level of one face-up Fortune Lady monster you control by 3 until the end phase. So, obviously you increase the level of a Fortune Lady, they're going to gain attack and defense. So you could, being a quick play, you could do this defensively, have it set, they attack it, you combat trick them, you kill their monster. Quick play also means you could play from the hand. You could go attack them with a weaker monster, quick play it in, and destroy their monster. So it's a combat trick. That's what this card is. It also, it ramps levels, so you could do the Synchro Summon with a lower monster. You don't have to play Fortune Lady Earth, so that's another thing. It does help Fortune Lady Earth, though. You inflict 400 damage on your opponent, and you also give her 1,200 more attack. That's decent. So this probably will see play at some point with this deck, of course, if this deck ever makes it. Next rare card is Inherited Fortune. It's a trap card. Activate during the turn a face-up Fortune Lady monster you control is destroyed. Special summon up to 2 Fortune Ladies from your hand during your next standby phase. So this is not good because it's situational. Your monster has to be destroyed face up, and then you get 2 Fortune Ladies during your next standby phase. I guess it's a little better when I read it because you get to draw. You draw, and then you activate. This card activates kind of late. And by then, you could have another Fortune Lady in your hand. You special summon 2. But it's situational. It's good if Fortune Ladies run nothing but monsters, and then you could just cheat out 2 cards. That's good. But I have a feeling the situational nature of it will not work in your favor. Another trap card is Fortune Lady Rewind. Trap card. Target any number of your banished Fortune Lady monsters with different names, special summon them, but shuffle them into the deck during the end phase. You can only activate 1 per turn. It depends how many banishes you have going at once. It has utility being burst. You could attack them and then activate this card and attack them again to win. You could recycle banished monsters. It is, there is synergy with another card from the new box, so that's what this card is for, I think, but its play is debatable again. I mean, this whole archetype is debatable, but its inclusion in Fortune Ladies is debatable. You've got some end cards, Lamoon and Eldine. It seems Konami makes so many vanilla cards. Yeah, there's Spellcasters, a female character. We've got some vanilla monsters to throw in the end slot, so I guess they have some here. Alright, so level up rewards. So as a Dark Signer, she starts out with a boss monster. You get 1 unlocking the character. That's Earthbound Immortal Azlapisu. Level 10 Winged Beast, 2500, 2500. There can only be 1 Earthbound Immortal monster on the field. If there is no face-up field spell on the card, destroy this card. Your opponent cannot target this card for attacks. This card can attack your opponent directly. When this face-up card leaves the field, except by its own effect, destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible. If you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. This is a very high-risk, high-reward card. 2500 direct attack is pretty good. And then you could just, when it gets removed, it could kill your opponent by doing burn damage on their monsters. The problem, of course, you could remove this card with Cosmic Cyclone right away. You destroy the field spell, and this card's gone. Overall, this is not going to be a competitive card because Cyber Dark Edge exists. Cyber Darks attack directly with a card that equips a Ling Ling that it makes him hit twice or whatever, so that's pretty much the same thing. And there's overall consistency problems. Of course, you only have 1 copy of this card, so the chances you draw it, and then you have to tribute 2 monsters, so It's a bit of a stretch, but there is a reward challenge for getting this card out 100 times. You get a new mat. It's a pretty cool looking card, so I guess you could just auto duel with that deck or something, and you could just slot this into 6 Sams or something, and then they could auto duel will summon it on occasion to finish off your opponent, maybe. We'll see. But maybe there are dedicated decks out there to get this card out easier 100 times, so you can get that playmat for your duels. Over some of the other reward sheet is giving us. So level up rewards, Fortune Lady Water, you get 3 copies of this card. Level 4, question mark. This card's attack and defense becomes level times 300. Once per turn, you can increase the card's level by 1 during the standby phase. When this card is special summoned, while you control a Fortune Lady monster except for water, draw 2 cards. This is a 1200, but this card is just one you want for card advantage. And card advantage is something you like, because 6 Sams, for example, is a deck that runs 3 6 Sam United. That means drawing 6 cards. So I'm not sure if you would want to run 3 of these monsters, because they don't do much aside from draw cards. They're just 1200, but you probably want a few just to draw cards. That's just what it is. Here is a support monster, Cataplepus and the Witch of well, maybe speak a different language. Cataplepus and the Witch of Fate. Level 4 spellcaster, 1800. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can remove from play a monster with question mark attack from your graveyard and destroy that special summoned monster. So I looked up that this is the only support card for question mark monsters. That's very cool. This card is actually really good. It could be deck defining. It could make Fortune Ladies like a deck disposal card. A deck disposal deck with grass is greener. You dump a lot of them in the graveyard and then use this card to remove your monsters. Because every single monster that's good nowadays is special summoned. It's not like you're gonna tribute 2 monsters for Blue Eyes every turn. Everything that comes out is special summoned. Yeah. And aside from graveyard protections where where Neos Fusion exists, this could trigger every turn. It's not like you could do it once per turn. You could keep doing this. So this is a very good removal card. Of course, it's a bit slow. It has to depend on how many monsters are in the graveyard, with how many Fortune Ladies you have in the graveyard, but there are cards that you could recycle, the banished Fortune Ladies, one of those trap cards before Fortune Lady Rewind, that could recycle your banished cards. So this is a very good card. I think it will fit into Fortune Ladies quite well. Again, if they don't become a deck, then this card is not too relevant, because you're not going to run monsters with question mark attack for no reason. You need those monsters to play this card, but it's a really good removal card. It's almost like Snipe Hunter, depending on how many things you have in the graveyard. Alright. Enlightenment is another card we get 3 of, a trap card. You cannot summon the turn you activate this card. Activate at the end of the damage step of a spellcaster monster you control attacked and destroyed an opponent's monster by battle. That monster can attack again immediately. This is a strange text, but you should be able to summon that turn. This kind of like prevents the main phase 2 summoning, and we don't have that in this game, so who cares, right? Who cares about main phase 2? Or you can't activate something to resurrect something during the battle phase. I think that's what this prevents. But the win more card, it gives spellcasters an aggro component. This could have been in spellbooks. You could hit twice with the Silent Magician and win the game or something. I don't know. But it's a win more card that might see play in some spellcaster deck. Slip of Fortune. This is a card we get 2 copies of. Trap card, activate only when your opponent's monster declares an attack targeting a monster. Negate the attack and remove from play the attack target monster until the next standby phase. This does not banish your opponent's monster like dimensional prison. It gets rid of your monster. And what I think of, this is a poor man's World Legacy Clash. World Legacy Clash banishes the monster, and then they lose attack points. This does not do that. But World Legacy Clash is so good. I've always thought the card should be limited or semi-limited. When that does happen, this card will be its replacement. But then there are cases where you have 3 World Legacy Clash, and then you want to run more cards like it. This is another card like it. So this is a card that possibly will see play if you need more World Legacy Clash. There are 2 more cards we get 1 copy of. Bending Destiny is her level 33 reward, 1 copy Counter Trap. Activate only if all face-up monsters you control are Fortune Lady monsters. Negate the activation of a spell or trap or normal summon of a monster. Remove that card from play. The card removed from play by this effect is returned to the owner's hand during the end phase. So, this is essentially Champion's Vigilance for Fortune Ladies. And then they get the card back in their hand. So it prevents a graveyard thing from happening. Super strong card. They kind of just... So they limited Champion's Vigilance to 1. And that's basically what they're doing here. They're only giving us 1. So they're limiting it without putting it on the limit list. So if this is an automatic include for Fortune Ladies, I think. And finally, 1 copy of Fortune Vision. This is her level 35 reward. Continuous spell. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Fortune Lady card from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if a card you control is banished by card effect, you can activate this effect. This turn, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can make the next battle damage once per turn. If a card your opponent controls is banished by a card effect, you can make the next battle damage you take this turn become 0. So this is a very strong card again. You want to banish Fortune Lady Light. I think that's the goal of this card, Fortune Vision. Can't be destroyed by card effects, so that's really good as well. And if you banish your opponent's monsters, you could prevent an attack from being 0 of battle damage. So, very strong card. I'm not sure if it'll see play, but we're only getting 1 copy of it anyways. Let's go over Carmine's skills. She has 5 unique dual skills that kind of just fit into Fortune Ladies. They don't really do much else. Future Fortune. As long as you control 2 or more Fortune Lady monsters, you can view the top card of both players' decks. This is like a worse prescience from what's her name? Ishizu. But you have to have 2 or more monsters. That's not really worth it. Fortune Overclock. Select 1 Fortune Lady monster you control. That monster's level becomes equal to the current turn count. Max 12. At the end of the turn, the monster's level becomes equal to its original level. The skill can be used once per duel. So basically this card, the skill, ramps a monster. It makes high burst. Obviously, the longer the game goes, this is better. You can make a monster Fortune Lady Every, which is a new card, and Earth can get up to 4,800 attack. So, maybe, maybe not. Fortune Telling. Select 1 Fortune Lady monster you control. Excavate the top card of your deck. If the excavated card is a monster, the selected Fortune Lady's monster level increases by the level of the excavated monster. Then return the excavated card to your deck. This could be used once per turn and twice per duel. So, decent card. It lets you know what the next card is. It boosts your monster to a higher attack. This is another reason why, fortunately, Earth is included. It's a level 6, so you could boost your monster pretty well. And you probably have to build your deck with a lot of monsters like Sylvan, so you can excavate the monster correctly. Fortune Booster. At the beginning of your turn, increase the level of all Fortune Ladies you control by 1. It's kind of like the tie that binds, and probably the default skill you use because they automatically gain like 2 levels. So you get a boost here, and then their standby phase, you increase their level again. So, pretty good. And Time Passage. Select 1 Fortune Lady monster you control. Its level is increased by 3 until the end of the turn. This skill can be used once per duel and twice per duel. Once per turn and twice per duel. So a solid skill to help boost attack or a ramp for synchro summoning. Some of these skills are in contention to be what is used for Fortune Ladies. I don't expect the deck to be amazing because if they don't... It's weird to make a deck, like a free-to-play deck, that good, but they might push it, so you might buy the new box because some of the best card for Fortune Ladies is in the new box. So that is it for Carmine. Make sure you get her, of course. These cards are not horrible, I don't think. I've seen worse cards from Legendary Duelists, and hers aren't the worst. So definitely check out. Definitely get Carmine and get her rewards. Do the event and have fun with it. So, breaking news: the new box is out. It released as of 11 o'clock Eastern Time. And it's 11:11 right now as of recording, so the new box is out. And I'm going to talk about the podcast question of the week because it's in an awkward spot when I just found that this new box is out. So, how satisfied are you that Dimension World will arrive next month? This is cheating ahead, but Zexal World is not coming yet. We had some leaks before about Dimension World, and it is pretty much confirmed to be the new world in September. So choices are: I am satisfied, no, I wanted Zexal and XZs, any new content is good. 29% said they were satisfied with Dimension World, 21% said they wanted Zexal and XZs, 50% said any new content is good. So it seems like everyone is in favor of Dimension World coming before of Zexal and XZs. This has some implications of, we always talk about some monsters that are good for XZs, like Deep Sea Diva, and some other monsters, but that will have to wait. I'm not sure if they're going to make us wait a whole year for that whole new mechanic and world to come out, but right now, Dimension World Dark Side of Dimensions is the world based on the movie that came out 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, I forgot when it came out, but I have yet to watch the movie, but I have it downloaded on my hard drive, so I will watch the movie just to get a better sense. Femi Bazue said, I hope it comes with Dimension Summoning. And Dimension Summoning is a mechanic that they show in the new movie, and I say new movie, but it came out a few years ago, but basically it lets you summon a monster from your hand without tributing or paying a cost. And you use Spirit Energy, so it's a new resource. You're using a different resource, and the amount of Spirit Energy put in the Duelist will result in the monster's attack and defense. So you can modify how much attack and defense the monster has, and they don't take regular battle damage from the monster. They take the battle damage equal to the monster's current attack and defense. So it's high risk, high reward, it seems. So that might be the new mechanic that they have for Dimension Duels, and I'm excited to see what it is. Personally, as a person who played the TCG without XCs, I'm not too attached to it. I don't really care if Zexal World and XCs are held off. In a way, it lets them stretch out content, it lets them play around with this new format, and we get, what's the worst thing? We get free characters, we get more rewards, we get new cards. It's probably just reskinned characters. I think that's what they're expecting, but anyways, more cards in the gap between XZs, I'm fine with it. I'm in favor with the call. Alright, so, as mentioned, the new box just dropped now 15 minutes ago. So, I'm personally ready for this box. I have my gems maxed out. I have 30 things in my treasure box from the new things. 30 gems from my treasure box to use. So, I really like this box, actually. I think there's a lot to it. Some of these cards are just OP, in my opinion, I think. I really like it. So we're going to talk about the URs and SRs today, just because there's too much to talk about. And I'm going to talk about every single UR and SR now, and then go over an archetype discussion next week, By then, this box will probably see some play by then, so we'll have a better idea what cards are being used, what archetypes are good. But for now, just the URs and SRs. Let's do it. First UR in this box, and also the cover model, is Odin, Father of the Aesir. Level 10 Synchro, 4,000 attack, 3,500 defense, fairy. It requires a Nordic Ascendant tuner and 2 or more non-tuners. There's only 2 because we'll have 4 monster slots on the board. Once per turn, you can make this card be unaffected by spells and trap effects until the end of this turn. During the end phase of this phase, a card you control is destroyed by opponent's card, battle, or card effect, and sent to the graveyard this turn. You can banish one Nordic Ascendant tuner monster from your graveyard, special summon this card. When summoned this way, you can draw 1 card. So, the big thing here is it costs 3 monsters. And costing 3 monsters is never a good thing in my opinion because it gives the opponent too many opportunities to flip one of them face down with Paleozoic Canadia or Floodgate. And then you're stuck with the board and you can't do anything. So, you always want to plan B, like get another Synchro Summon out or something out, but it's possible you're clogged on the board and you can't do anything. So it's not my favorite thing to do. But this is such a good card that it might be worth it. It's a strange ability. It's kind of like Shit-En, but kind of not. It's not affected by spells and traps. And it seems like it's a thing you toggle. Because it's once per turn you can make this card. So, your opponent can activate a card and then you toggle it to chain that ability. But in doing that, your opponent can chain the ability activation with a quick play of their own. So what does that say? This card is weak to Econ. They play a card, you chain it, they play Econ, they steal a 4,000 attacker that is immune to your back row. That is this card's weakness. So, Econ, let's say this card becomes really good, Econ becomes the immediate counter to Odin. And besides that though, this card's really good. You resurrect it by... You already have 1 Nordic Ascendant tuner because you used it to get this card out. So this card has at least 1 resurrection. And then you draw a card. So it's weak to banish, of course. Your opponent can banish. Your opponent can send it back to your hand. All those things aside, this will see a place in the Nordic extra deck. The Nordics get a lot of support in this box. So I expect this to see some play. Of course, being a Synchro monster, you can't rely on it too much. Hopefully the Nordics have other smaller Synchro Summons that they can play, but this is the boss monster. Next UR is Scrap Dragon, level 8. Dragon Synchro 2800, 2000. Generic tuner. Once per turn, you can target 1 card you control and 1 card your opponent controls. Destroy them. When this card is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, battle a card effect. Target 1 non-synchro scrap monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. So, this ability is like double Cyclone, but it's better because you could target monsters you control or monsters they control. This is best abused with build-around cards, Wild Tornado and Blast with Chain. Cards that you destroy, you get another destruction off, so you get kind of like 2 for 1 your opponent. And it's very versatile. It's a really strong control card. Level 8 Synchro. So some decks, they put in like Stardust Dragon for the level 8. This is competing for the same spot essentially. And this is more versatile than Stardust Dragon in my opinion. I think I'll occasionally see extra deck play. It also, like the build around deck with Blast of Chain or Wild Tornado seems kind of slow, but in my opinion. But this could also give you Bell and Nephis decks a Synchro component, because it is level 8, so you could just do it, I guess. Well, I don't know how the stars add up. It might not be the best idea, but it gives them another component, because they like destroying their cards for abilities. You could destroy Nephis, have it come back every turn. Astero Diane is a reprint. It's a selection box card. Level 8, Warrior Fusion 2800, 3000. Must be special summoned with Mass Change. Cannot be special summoned other ways. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon one level 4 or lower hero monster from your deck. Special summoning from the deck is pretty good, but even when Masked Heroes were around, this card didn't see any play, and it doesn't do that one-turn kill thing that the Masked Heroes did really well, so probably won't see any play. It's kind of filling up the UR slot. Yeah, it just didn't see play when Masked Heroes were meta too. So here is probably the best card I think in this box: Master Hyperion, level 8, Fairy, 2700, 2100. You can special summon this card from your hand by banishing one the agent monster from your hand, field, or graveyard. Once per turn, you can banish one light fairy monster from your graveyard, target one card on the field, destroy it. When Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, you can activate this effect up to twice per turn. First off, this is a 2700 you could cheat out just by banishing one agent monster, hand, field, or graveyard. That's really good. It's anything from except the deck, but hand, field, and graveyard, that's a lot of options you have. And it seems like you could play more than once of these a turn, so you could get 2 of them out if you're greedy. Yeah. The control ability is almost free. It doubles up with Sanctuary of the Sky, so you could destroy 2 cards. Sanctuary of the Sky, of course, is searchable by Zeradius, which was a superb Taya card. It seems like you could also run Grass is Greener, so you could fill up the graveyard with those light fairies and destroy your opponent's board. I think this is a very good card. And the next card is also very good. It fits right along with Master Hyperion. The Agent of Mystery Earth, Light Fairy, Tuner, 1800. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one the Agent monster from your deck to your hand, except for the Agent of Mystery Earth, which is this card. While Sanctuary of the Sky is face up on the field, you can add one Master Hyperion from your deck to your hand. So you have that field out, you tutor 2 cards. This is amazing. You tutor 1 card automatically, and helps the consistency of getting Master Hyperion if he's not already in your hand. And it's a tuner. So let's say you get Hyperion out, and then you could tune these cards into a level 8 monster, Synchro Summon. Of course, you have to use Hyperion's ability to destroy some stuff on the board, and then use a level 8. Very good. And, of course, this depends on the Sanctuary in the Sky, and you're going to need those 3 Zeradius in the deck. You discard Zeradius, you get the field, and then you could let a lot of stuff go off, because you could then use Zeradius to be banished by Master Hyperion. So those cards all work together. And consistency all depends on that field spell. So Cosmic Cyclone might be in the offing, I don't know. Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. This is a card we've seen before from, I think Chaz uses it. Some legendary duelist uses this card, but once per turn, you can special summon one fairy monster from your hand. You must control no monsters to activate and resolve this effect. So this works with any fairy deck. This Hyperion thing works really well, but Dark Lords are also fairies. They're really strong monsters that are around 3,000 attack, and you do beat down, they're pretty big. So this could be good for any fairy deck. Forbidden Lance, quick play spell. Target one face-up monster on the field. Until the end of this turn, this target loses 800 attack, but it's not affected by the effects of other spells and traps. So we're in a meta where monster effects are doing everything. They're destroying things, they're doing things. So Chalice is a card that's getting back into decks. And I think strong back row effects aren't what they were. People are negating these effects or whatever. And this probably is best against something like Drowning Mirror Force, where they're trying to clear your board, or Wall of D or something. This doesn't seem worth it. I think Spell and Trap Destruction is paling to monster effects and attacks now, so this doesn't prevent your monster from being destroyed by a monster effect or an attack. So, I mean, it's a good card to have, but back row effects are not what they were. Maybe when that back row control meta becomes good again. Next card is Banishment of the Dark Lords. Spell card. Add one Dark Lord from your deck to your hand, except for this one. You can only activate one per turn. So, simply a tutor for any Dark Lord monster. Dark Lords haven't seen play. They were a flash in the pan, kind of. They were just there for a bit. They never really became really good, and then they're gone. This is a fairy-themed box, so that's why this card's here. Again, I think you'd rather run the Master Hyperion thing, but Dark Lords are fun. I mean, it's hard to say this doesn't bring them back, because Dark Lords are really good with beatdown. And I don't know. I really don't. I've never played Dark Lord, so I don't know. I don't know. Fortune Lady Calling, spell card. If you control a Fortune Lady monster, special summon a Fortune Lady from your deck with a different name from the cards you control. Also, for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for synchro monsters. You can only activate one per turn. So, it special summons a Fortune Lady from your deck, basically. This helps you do synchro summons. It seems like it's a pretty good card for the deck. You probably do want the synchro summon to get a level 7 out on the board right away. Let's move on to the SRs now. And of course, in a main box, SRs you get 2 copies of, URs you get 1. Star Eater, level 12, is this? Level 11. Level 11, Dragon Synchro, generic tuners. 3200, 2800. Must be synchro summoned, cannot be summoned other ways. This card's synchro summon cannot be negated. When synchro summoned, cards and effects cannot be activated. If this card attacks, it is unaffected by other card effects until the end of the damage step. This is kind of like Armadides on steroids. Because Armadides you can counter when it's summoned. This one you can't. It's not affected by other cards during the damage step. So there are differences between this and Armadides, though. This doesn't negate effects. Armadides negates it, like it prevents a face-down monster's effect from going off, like Fire King Yaksha. This card will just destroy Fire King Yaksha, and then the ability will go off. So it's not affected by card effects, but it lets them go off. I guess that's the difference. So there are situations when Armadides is better, but this is a really big beater. They can't be negated, so that's what the strong thing is it plays around Paleozoic Canadia and Floodgate. Mostly Floodgate, because Paleozoic Canadia, you could flip it over the next turn. This card's really good with the Claw of Hermos, so you could just do some silly stuff there and OTK your opponent. Star Eater is a very good card. It is level 11, though, so try to get those big tuners out and big targets to get this on the board. Fortune Lady Every. Level 7 Synchro Spellcaster, question mark. The tuner is generic, but it acquires a Spellcaster non-tuner material. Attack and defense becomes level times 400. So 2800, pretty good. Once per turn, you can increase the level by 1. Then, you can banish one face-up monster your opponent controls. During your opponent's end phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you can banish one other spellcaster monster from your graveyard, special summon this card. You can use this effect once per turn. Obviously, the appeal of this card is during the standby phase. So you can't banish right away, that's a drawback. But every turn this is on the board, you can banish an opponent's face-up monster. That's really good. And, of course, banish is really good because numerous graveyard protections exist. So, it plays around Neos Fusion. That's the main card. It plays around Desperado Barrel Dragon. It plays around Blue Eyes. This is a really good nutty card. And then when you do that, it's going to become a 3200, of course. That hits over the 3000s. It resurrects really easily during your opponent's end phase. So it plays around the back row that they have, sort of. So, this is a reason why you would buy this box. This is also a reason why you want Carly leveled up. And get this. This is a really good boss monster. Really impressive card. Here's a reprint HTS Psyhemoth from a selection box. Level 6 Psychic Synchro 2400, 1800. Generic requirements. After damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that monster and also banish this card. This is a card that occasionally saw play with synchro decks that have level 6 capability. Whenever you need someone banished, you can just play this card. Fortune Lady every does it better, but you have to be playing a spellcaster deck with Fortune Ladies. HDS Sahima fits with every deck. Of course, you lose this card as well, but the banish is probably worth it. Kinkabayo is an SR level 1 Beast Spirit, 400 attack, 200 defense. Cannot be special summoned. During the end phase of this card, being normal summoned or flipped face up, return it to the hand like any other spirit. When this card is normal summoned or flipped face up, target one level 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon that target, but banish it when this card leaves the field. This is a card that doesn't have any play right now, but whenever a level 2 synchro summon comes into play, this could be good. It's not a tuner though, so. And XZs have been delayed, but you could do a rank 1 XZ summon, so you got 2 level 1s, you overlay them or whatever, and you get your rank 1. So, this is a known card in the TCG, useful when those mechanics come down the line. Right now, it's not that useful. Next card is Shining Angel, very known card. Level 4, Light Fairy, 1400, 800. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon one light monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck in face-up attack. It's one of your generic attribute floaters. We saw Mother Grizzly before, now Shining Angel. I think Shining Angel is better than Mother Grizzly because light is better than water. There are more light monsters that are useful than water monsters. Again, Mother Grizzly did not see play when it came out, but we're on our way to Mystic Tomato. That's all that matters. Hyper Hammerhead, level 4, Dinosaur, 1500, 1200. At the end of the damage step, if an opponent's monster that battled this card is not destroyed, return that opponent's monster to the hand. This is similar to Gale Lizard, but with different uses. They both return a monster to the hand. That was a flip effect. This one can be rammed, so you can control who this card attacks. You're probably going to take some damage, but sometimes it's worth doing it just to hard remove your opponent's monster, like a synchro monster that costed a lot of materials to use. You bounce it, they're kind of helpless. So this is going to see occasional play. Of course, you could set this as well, but your opponent controls what attacks it to it. So it's better to use this to ram something. You'll see side deck play. Super Nimble Mega Hamster. Level 4 Beast, flip effect, 1100 attack, 1800. The flip effect is, you can special summon one level 3 or lower beast from your deck in face down defense. So this is a Nimble monster, and those cards are all kind of floaters. Like Nimble Mananga, you could get a bunch of Nimble Manangas onto the field in defense mode. And there's like Nimble Sunfish or whatever. A lot of those cards came out in the past. This lets you, thin out your deck. That's really the main use of this card. Or some other beast strategy down the line, but I think it's a deck thinner. It's very versatile. Any level 3 or lower beast, there's plenty of those that do float as well. UA Perfect Ace. Level 5 Warrior, 1500, 2500. Special summon this card by returning a UA monster you control to the hand, except for Perfect Ace. You can only use this special summon one Perfect Ace per turn this way. Once per turn during your opponent's turn, when a card or effect is activated, you can discard one card, negate that activation. If you do, destroy it. This is a quick effect. Pretty good. UAs were competitive for a while, but they were never top tier. They were tier 2, tier 3 deck. They were in the meta for a really long time, and they've been gone a bit. And this prevents the opponent from interfering with the UAs, because you could just Paleozoic Canada, you could econ them and prevent them from shuffling their monsters. That's what they do. They facilitate very well with midfielder and also the field spell. The attack isn't amazing, 1500, but what you want, this is a level 5, and UAs typically use beatdown. So it's going to get a boost. And the field spell boosts them. Who cares? This card isn't that strong. And you're negating stuff every turn, so it could also work on your opponent's turn too. So, it's primarily during your opponent. It's only during your opponent's turn. So this is a good disruption card. Of course, it depends on how much cards you have in your hand, so that's a downside, but it's like 6 Samurai Shin without the attack. With reverse stats, if you will. Fortune Lady Past. Level 1 Spellcaster Tuner. This card's attack and defense become its level times 200. Once per turn, during your standby phase, increase this card's level by 1. You can target one Fortune Lady monster you control. Banish any number of spellcasters from your hand, field, or graveyard. Increase or reduce that monster's level by the number of monsters banished until the end of this turn. You can use this once per turn. So, this has synergy with the trap card, Fortune Lady Rewind, because that card brings back the monsters, and you kind of could do some kind of thing. Basically, you want to ramp up your monsters, so then you could synchro summon this turn, because it's a level 1. You get them to 6, and then you get every out. That's the main combo you want, but then you could just reuse those monsters. You have a set Fortune Lady Rewind, you bring those monsters back, and then you have a really big board. You probably want Fortune Lady Earth banished at some point, so then you could get her back to be special summoned. So I think this is kind of competes with Fortune Lady Light. They're both the tuners that are level 1. Both work pretty well, because 1 plus 6 equals 7. You have 2 options for your tuners, or you could run both of them, maybe. Reptilian Lamia, level 2, Reptile Tuner, 0 attack and defense. If this card is in your hand and all monsters you control are face-up reptiles, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0. If you do, special summon this card. Then take damage equal to that monster's original attack. If this card is in the graveyard as synchro material, target 2 face-up monsters on the field, change their attack to 0. You can only use this effect once per turn, and only once that turn. So, these reptile cards, they all seem pretty good. You could kind of one turn kill your opponent by making them 0, and then you could destroy them or something, but these snake cards just never saw any play. This is a very good tuner card, but it's just in a bad archetype. I don't think this one tuner is going to make the snake archetype that good, but I mean, you never know, but I am doubting it. And then the last SR I'm going to talk about today, Elemental Hero Solid Soldier, another reprint card, not reprint card, it's selection box card. Level 4 Warrior, 1300, 1100. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower hero monster from your hand. When this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by a spell effect, target one hero monster in your graveyard except for Solid Soldier, special summon in defense mode. You can use this effect once per turn. So, what was I going to say? This card always seemed good. It always seemed solid when we last talked about it in the past episode of a podcast when it first existed. But almost every elemental hero has been masked by the existence of Neos Fusion. Like, why would you run any other any other card except for that strategy? So, Neos Fusion is kind of limiting the play for all other elemental hero monsters, in my opinion. I think, yeah, that's all I have to say about it, really. So, that is it for URs and SRs. Next week, we will talk about all the other archetypes, the Rs and Ns that are notable for the cards. The mission circuit is happening. This is everyone's favorite ongoing reward event, if you will. It does give a copy of one new card called Necroid Synchro, which is not a very good card at all. It's a spell card. Banish one tuner and up to 2 non-tuners from your graveyard, special summon one Stardust Synchro monster from your extra deck, whose level equals the total level of those monsters banished, but it has its effects negated. This counts as a Synchro summon. So right now we only have one card, Stardust Dragon. This is similar to King's Continents, sort of. That's a trap card. Then the monster just becomes a vanilla monster, so you just bring back a 2500 attack dragon. That's all this does, really. So, again, not very useful right now, but there could be more Stardust cards down the line, and you get this card for free, so why not? Jaden's birthday. We get prismatic copies of Elemental Heroes, Shining Flare Wingman, and Electrum. Glossy copies of Elemental Hero, Bubbleman, and Wildheart. Okay, so sure. Any free stuff is fine. I don't have a problem with it. That is it. Upcoming news. September 5th to 15th, Kaiba Cup. First Kaiba Cup for WCS 2020. So new esports season, official esports season has begun. Early September, Fantastic Pegasus. New cards. Toon Dark Magician and Toon Ancient Gear Golem. So more tunes for Doug to play with. Mid-September, Duels Chronicles, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 3, aka When Shit Gets Real. That is when the show took a dark turn. They go to Dark World or something. Well, there's first the stuff with Adrian Gecko and that whole arc, but then the Dark World thing happens as well. It's a dark season. People die, I think. People die officially. And Jaden becomes combined with Yubel, and Bastion literally leaves the world and lives with Tanya in another dimension, so a lot of stuff goes down. And we could see some other characters like Axel and Crocodile Jim. So I'm excited for this Season 3 Duels Chronicles, because the first two kind of paled in comparison to Season 3. Mid-September, Tour Guide Bingo. Mid-September, Sartorius goes to the gate. Late September, massive update, Dark DSOD World, Dark Side of Dimensions World. So that's when we see the new Dimension stuff, new characters, new cards. I'm really excited for that. Dual Quest late September, that's pretty much every month thing. And then, the last note, late September, Unknown Duelist in Duel World. And duel him to get a card, or him or her. They don't say what it is, but this is they really hit this one well. We don't really know who this is. Could be anyone. So that is it for this week of the podcast. I'm gonna stop recording right now so I could, get these new cards. I'm ready to get these new cards. Listen and subscribe to this podcast anywhere. Just search the Duel Assessment on your favorite podcast finder. Check out the podcast and more at the website, theduelassessment.wordpress.com. You'll find all these notes here of my reviews. Email me if you have any questions at theduelassessment@gmail.com, or you could tweet me, duel_assessment, or me at GreenRanger CCG. Alright. Enjoy the new box, everyone, and I will see you later.